a storm, man. Nobody calls Han Solo a bitch.
Bring him on. I prefer a straight fight to all this sneaking around.
I don't know where you get your delusions, laser brain.
Oh, come on, bro. It's the wars.
All right, so it seems like every couple months we mention that, we're entering the calm before the storm, and it gets kind of tiresome. But here we are again. This is The Wars and More. I'm Joe, and of course with me is my good buddy Doug. Hey Doug, how you doing this week?
Doing pretty good, Joe. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Here we are again.
Yes, here we are again. Of course. It's
everything seems to slow down.
Oh yeah. It's amazing how that seems to happen. You know.
Yeah, so we're looking at we're probably going to be short this week and not have a whole lot to talk about. There's a few things, but
yeah.
Just a forewarning, if you're looking for our usual hour, yeah, might be disappointed.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that we can make a quality less than an hour out of this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there are things to talk about. There are interesting things going on, but they're not meaty. Right?
They're not going to have the same kind of punch that Bad Batch is going to have when it comes out. That kind of thing. Yeah.
Right. But there's interesting stuff.
Yeah.
So what we've been talking about seems like the last couple of weeks, we've been mentioning Indy 5.
Oh, yeah.
So odd that a Star Wars podcast keeps talking about Indiana Jones.
I don't know how odd that is, to be honest, because, it's all in the family kind of thing.
Right. There's a connection there. There. And this is The Wars and More, right? We talk about more than just Star Wars.
That's right.
But I think it was last week we talked about additions to the cast. We talked about Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Right.
And John Williams coming back to do the score.
Yes.
Well, this week we get to talk about another Star Wars alum joining the cast.
Nice.
Mads Mikkelsen.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Does it say what role he's going to play?
No, but I think we just found our bad guy.
That's what I was just going to say. I'm thinking, man, okay, here's the villain. Heck yeah.
Because if anyone's seen Casino Royale, James Bond film, he's a bad guy, and he does it well.
Yes.
And it's the type of bad guy you could see in Indiana Jones.
Right.
And that was the first thing that went through my head. Like, he was a good guy in Rogue One, right? Like, the good guy that accidentally becomes the bad guy.
Right. Yeah.
But is still the good guy in the end.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, kind of forced into the bad guy role, but then, redeems himself.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm thinking, if this next indie movie is going to take place chronologically after the last one, right? Kind of makes sense, with Harrison's age and all, right? It's probably going to be your classic 50s Cold War era, gonna take over the world with nuclear power type thing. That would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Or have that aspect to the story, but just finding some sort of artifact, clearly because it's Indiana Jones. But yeah,
it's funny because I instantly thought of his Bond villain, right?
Right.
And he's kind of a Bond villain with no allegiance.
Oh,
he's not fighting for a country.
Ah, I see.
He's kind of freelance.
Nice.
And I'm like, wow, you think Cold War era, there'd be people that would take advantage of that,
absolutely.
Two sides going at it.
Yeah.
You'd be the guy in the middle, want to kind of stir it up, let them go at it, and you come out on top.
Yeah, you just pick up the pieces after it's all done, right? Yeah.
And it would be a new element to Indiana Jones
Yeah, it would.
Because everything's been aligned with a certain nation, something like that. But this would be an actor who's unaffiliated.
Right. Well, I like this. I like the thought of this. It's kind of...
But it would also be a role that would be kind of like in The Last Crusade, where the bad guy's actually conscripting him.
Oh, yeah.
And then, seems like a good guy for a while and then turns out to be the bad guy.
Right.
I could see something like that. Like he's,
Oh, yeah.
being recruited by a guy who is neutral. He's not lying.
Right.
But he has ulterior motives.
I love this.
And seeing how he's played this role in the past, he can do it, man.
Absolutely.
And he was a good Bond villain.
Once again, I think they need to mine us for ideas. That's...
Yeah, which means like everything I said right there is not how this is going to go.
Of course. But it sounds good.
Well, the reason I jumped to that conclusion too is because they evolved from the whole Nazi conflict, right?
Right.
And it moved into the Russian conflict.
Exactly.
Oh, Mads Mikkelsen probably wouldn't make a great Russian. I could be wrong.
I was going to say, he's got acting
He's
chops.
pretty talented.
Yeah.
But seeing how he delivers everything, I don't see him being a Russian.
Right.
Could be surprised.
Well,
just thinking delivery and how he's like that calm kind of menace.
right.
I just don't see that being the whole Russian thing.
Right. Well, we shall see. I'm really interested because I don't know. He's definitely going to make a good villain. If he's not playing the villain,
he's playing.
Then they miscast. That's what I'm thinking too, for sure. Yeah.
Like I don't have any doubt.
Right.
That and if he's not the villain, he's going to be still kind of an anti-hero kind of character.
Yeah.
Maybe not the main villain, but not a good guy.
Right.
He's not going to be a friend.
Yeah. Indiana Jones has a lot of those. That's
Friends?
Well, people he thought were his friends.
Yeah. I mean, I guess he did have a decent amount of friends, but
sure. Yeah, from time to time.
Definitely more on the other side.
Yeah, from time to time it turned out, not so friendly, are you? Yeah.
I mean, it could turn out that this guy is his best friend and Phoebe Waller-Bridge is the villain, but
it could be. That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Yep, somehow I got a feeling that we're going to be surprised by how all this turns out as well.
Yeah.
So.
But, I mean, I don't think I'll be that surprised because Mads Mikkelsen is definitely the villain.
Right.
You can write it down, and then we can talk about how wrong I was.
Yeah. Again.
Yep. I got a track record here.
Yeah, I'd say we all do. We all have an idea of what we think's going to happen, but yeah, it's rare that ever pans out.
But yeah, they're definitely going with a Star Wars alum thing here.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if this is intentional or
I
accidental, but
I mean, it's people that have worked with Lucasfilm, and
right.
There's a familiarity there, and I don't know, maybe they're maybe they're taking a page out of Disney's book with that, right? You get these actors and they just play on different shows and movies,
Well, I mean, Disney is the parent company here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And it is what they like to do. They like to reuse people.
Yeah.
Which makes sense, right?
It does. And when they're good, which, clearly these actors were, it, that makes all the sense in the world. If you have a role you think they're going to work out in, then yeah, use them.
Yeah, and Mads, he's an actor that can pull off a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah.
So, particularly bad guys. Just a good bad guy.
Heck yeah.
If he's not a bad guy, I'm going to be disappointed.
I think we all will.
I just like his bad guy. Like, he's got a real good way of making you want to punch him, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting. We're going to keep an eye on this because this just keeps getting more interesting.
Yes, for sure.
All right. James Gunn.
Him again?
Him again. So, I don't know where I'd put this. Like, you bring up when people say crazy stuff, right?
People don't say crazy stuff.
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
And I don't know whether to put this in like this is one of those tweets where it's like, okay, he's kind of right. He's kind of crazy. And he's just a little bit batshit.
Okay.
Right?
Wow.
Okay, so I'll read the tweet.
Yes.
He says, I see KOTOR, Knights of the Old Republic, is trending, which it should, as it's still the greatest video game of all time. Ooh, that's bold.
Huh.
And then, if that wasn't bold enough, he says, it is my favorite Star Wars thing out of all of Star Wars games, movies, TV shows, toys, and comics.
What?
Yeah, what?
Oh, that's okay.
So, like, at the beginning, that's where I'm like, oh, that's a little crazy.
Yeah.
And then maybe we're getting a little batshit.
I think you're right. Because, okay. Greatest video game? Okay, could be your opinion. Fine. I would disagree. But okay, yes. Fine. Greatest of all Star Wars ever? No. Not even close. Sorry.
So I was going to make an argument here. Like, I was like, ooh, I can think of books where I'm like, if we're just talking, EU type stuff, that we're going to compare to movies, things like that.
Right.
I'm like, wait, I can think of some books. Now, he doesn't mention books.
So what you're saying is that there could be books out there that he thinks are better than KOTOR.
Yes.
Okay.
He said games, movies, TV shows, toys, and comics. Didn't say books.
The toys thing in there kind of throws me a little bit, but okay.
Yeah, I mean...
Because there's no story with toys, it's...
Yeah, I've never seen, like, oh, wow, this toy is my favorite thing about Star Wars ever.
Exactly.
Like, to hell with the movies. This toy.
Yes.
Have you seen this toy?
Yeah, that's...
Like, I almost wonder if he's a little trolly here.
It sounds like it to me.
Because he said movies. I'm like,
yeah.
Like, without the movies, there is no KOTOR. So
right. Without the movies, there's no anything. I don't know. The movies are the flagship property of the franchise.
Yes. And I'll say there are products out there where I'm like, wow, if this were a movie, this might be the best one, right? Like,
sure. Absolutely.
Particularly with novels. Like, there's a few novels that really stand out to me.
Yep.
And it's pretty much the Thrawn trilogy, the original Thrawn trilogy.
Right.
Heir to the Empire, I think, would be a fantastic film.
Yes.
I gotta say that the Darth Bane book. So, like, what is it? What's the first one? Path of Destruction.
Yeah.
I mean, fantastic.
Yeah.
Probably
definitely.
be a pretty good movie, and probably would be in the running.
Sure.
But to say they're better than what we got, I don't know. I love some of the EU content, but to say they're better than what we've gotten, it's tough. Because one, you wouldn't have gotten it without A New Hope,
Yes.
without Empire, without
And that's yeah. This is a chicken and the egg situation where there is no disputing which came first. So
right.
it is clear that with that alone, the original trilogy anyway kind of gets the nudge here, to me, because without that there is no other Star Wars at all. Well,
yeah, because you don't have a comparison, right?
Right.
You can't make that comparison without the original. So, like, if your baseline is this, I mean, I don't know. KOTOR, I played the game.
Right.
It is really fantastic. It is a lot of fun. It is one of the better RPG type games ever made. I mean, it's not really RPG. It's a funny type of game too. Because I don't know what genre you put it in.
Okay.
Because it's kind of RPG. It's kind of first person, not really shooter, but yeah.
Slicer?
It's not really that either.
Okay.
It's not a hack and slash. It's kind of a hybrid of a lot of things. And Star Wars has a history of that. Like,
right.
You go forward and play The Force Unleashed. It's like, what genre do you put that in? It's the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, KOTOR is a little deeper than that.
Okay.
But it's still, where do you put it? What genre is it? And is it better than some of these others of notoriety, right?
Right.
It's a fantastic game. I love it.
Yeah. That's one of those things that, as games go, I feel like it's a bit subjective, right? Because I love first-person shooters. So therefore, I'm looking at
KOTOR falls out a little bit.
Exactly. I'm looking at Halo or Call of Duty or something like that, where I don't see where this works, but that's all opinion oriented. I mean, so hey,
yeah. Whereas I do love KOTOR. It's a fun game. But RPGs, MMOs, and especially like third-person view type adventure games,
right?
Those really grab my attention. So, like, I love KOTOR. It set a tone for what Star Wars gaming should be. But I love The Force Unleashed.
Right.
I love Jedi Fallen Order.
Absolutely.
KOTOR probably brought the most new. So these were new characters, new stories. An era we've never thought about.
True. And
so
there is a huge fan base for it.
Oh.
I mean,
and it's well deserved.
Yes.
But greatest game of all time. I don't even know if I'd call it the greatest Star Wars game of all time. It's up there.
Right. See, now that's saying something.
But, I mean, if you're going to ask my opinion, I mean, I can't even tell you what my favorite movie is day to day.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm not the best person to ask here. My list of, everybody loves the list, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got to rank your Star Wars movies.
You got to rank your Star Wars movies. Well, mine changes based on which day you ask me.
Yes.
So some days I'm like, oh man, Revenge of the Sith is my favorite Star Wars movie. And then the next day I'll tell you A New Hope's my favorite Star Wars movie.
Uh-huh.
And then it's Empire. And then it's Jedi. It rotates, man. So I'm not the best person to ask on what's the greatest of all time, because if you ask me on the wrong day,
Yeah. It could change. Yeah. And I don't know. It's just
not only could it change, but it's likely to change.
right.
Apparently, I'm very moody.
Hey, we all get that way.
But I mean, I think it's a good problem to have because I love these things so much that I can't even pick a favorite.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good problem to have. I think they've hit enough chords for me in all these different films to where I can say, you know what, today is this, tomorrow it might be that.
Exactly. Well,
I think he got a little trolly here, though.
I think you're right. And I'm not sure why, but
I mean, he's a little trolly.
okay.
He likes to do this kind of shit.
Well, I guess he's getting good at it. I don't know.
So, but I think the consensus here is it better than the movies? Nah.
Right.
Nah.
I would agree.
But you do you, man.
Yeah. Exactly.
If this is true and that truly is your favorite Star Wars, hey, man, hats off.
That just goes to prove that, there is something different for everybody, right?
Yes. Yes.
So,
I mean, if it truly is his favorite Star Wars, take all the rips that we just took.
Yep.
And forget about that. Hats off to you. I'm glad you found something that is you.
Right.
But I tend not to believe you. Just because of your history.
Exactly.
So. All right. Well. So, Domhnall Gleeson, General Hux.
Uh-huh.
Here's something that's been very common lately, and I don't understand why this trend has started. We've been hearing this a lot of late.
What's that?
So he was asked about returning to Star Wars.
Okay. Wait. What?
I know.
Okay. Okay.
But just because a character is presumed dead.
Okay. Gotcha. Presumed.
I mean, we saw him get hit with a blaster and fly across the room. We didn't see him die.
Yes. Okay. I understand.
Not going there. That's not where I'm going with this. This could be prequel type stuff, returning to Star Wars. Right?
Okay.
Just because he's returning doesn't mean it's a continuation. It could be before that.
Right.
Not going to get too much down to Boba Fett bandwagon here. So this is what he had to say. He said, a couple people have asked because there is so much stuff happening in the Star Wars universe, but it's always about if the story's good. I'm up for anything if the story's good, Okay. So yeah, bring it on. If so, and if not, I think I did plenty. 3 movies is a lot. So once again, we're hearing if the story's good, I'd be willing to return to Star Wars.
So, okay. My question about that is, why do you think that seems to be the common denominator between all these answers we get from Star Wars actors? Because do they think the story at some point was bad, or do you think in order for me to do this again, it would just have to be really good? I mean,
right?
How do you parse that? I mean,
so I've been back and forth on that.
Okay.
Like, are they upset with the way things went? Do they feel like we do at times that they didn't get to tell a cohesive story?
Right.
And that would be the main thing I would say about the sequel trilogy is it's not a bad story,
Exactly.
but it's not a cohesive story.
Right.
There are elements of every single piece of the sequel trilogy that I did enjoy.
Yep.
But as far as cohesion goes, it didn't really fit.
Exactly.
It seemed like we got 3 different stories for 3 different situations that had nothing to do with the other.
Yep.
Could they be responding to that kind of response from fandom? Maybe.
Interesting thought. Yeah.
Maybe they're hearing that kind of backlash and they're like, well, maybe we need a better story next time.
Huh.
So no argument.
No argument there. You know, it's funny because you hear these rumblings, these rumors, these whatever you want to call it from the actors. You know, there's like someone else who's been a little more vocal lately is John Boyega with, you know, how he feels like his character was treated and stuff, and you know, we don't get into that a whole bunch here necessarily, but you know, there have been these things said, and you know, I think.
Well,
what?
I'm going to interrupt and I'm going to say, like, we're not going to get too far into that right now.
Right.
But I will agree with everything John Boyega said.
Uh-huh.
Finn got shafted.
Yeah. For sure.
Like, that is a character I had such high hopes for.
Yeah.
And just got obliterated.
Yep.
Which we'll get into a little bit next week. Because next week we're going to talk about the second half of that Duel of the Fates comic.
Oh, okay.
That fan-made comic.
Yep.
That comic gets a little more into Finn's story and things like that. And that's a part of that comic where I'm like, man, I really wish that could have come to fruition.
Right.
Because I felt like Finn got the short end just a ton.
Yes, absolutely.
Especially the way we were led on. We kind of got this feeling right from the get-go that Finn was going to be important. Like,
yeah.
I mean, we thought he was going to be the Jedi at first.
Absolutely.
Right? Like,
yes.
And just push to the back. Like, it's not like he showed up in the middle and got pushed to the back, or, you know, showed up in the last portion and got pushed to the back. No, Finn was there in the beginning, main character out in front, and just shoved aside. And quite frankly, it kind of pissed me off.
Yeah, well,
I want to see this character.
Exactly.
And I don't want to see him just run around yelling Rey.
Right. So I guess where I was getting at is, you know, is it more than just John Boyega who feels that way about their character? You know, it
could be.
You know, because this is not an uncommon thing that we're hearing. You know, I think
it could be, but we also heard Daisy Ridley say this, and if she feels that way, I don't understand.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. She was pretty much front and center. Yeah. And you know, not that that's what it's all about, but you know.
But it could be that she feels the backlash that she's received, which I don't feel is fair. Okay.
Oh, agreed.
I don't feel that's fair. Like, she didn't write the damn story.
Right.
Okay. She played a part, and she played her part well.
Yep.
So I guess, yeah, never mind. I'll circle back. Maybe they all do feel that way. And even Daisy Ridley, like, if the story is better,
yeah,
you know, maybe we have a little cohesion, we explain things better, and we don't jump around so much, maybe we'll do this again.
Right. Yeah. Just funny, because you are right. It seems to be a theme for a lot of these actors, you know, and you know, it's the kind of thing that most people, you know, it's their dream gig, right? Be in Star Wars, but for those who were most recently, it's like, yeah, well, maybe if it's any good, yeah, we'll do it. You know, so
well, I think John Boyega is the best example for this, right? Like,
yes.
You think about during promotion for these films.
Uh-huh.
I mean, John Boyega was the most energetic. He was always out there. He's promoting this thing. he was always seeming to be happy-go-lucky and just seemed to be loving every minute of it.
Right.
Then it's over and he's like, piss off.
Exactly.
And it's like, okay, that dude followed his contract to the letter.
Yep.
And then once it was up, he's like, look, this was jacked.
Exactly.
And I don't disagree with him in the least.
Nope.
Because, wow, that was a whiff with, giving that character to us.
Yes, for sure.
We expected so much more.
Yeah, for sure. There are things about Hux that, it's almost like, we could have, I don't know, he could have been a much more sinister character, I guess. And sometimes he was turned into the, kind of the clown, So,
yes.
And if that's the kind of stuff that's bugging Donald Gleason about the character, I totally get it, for sure.
Well, especially with the way he was kind of clowned in The Last Jedi.
Yes.
He was kind of punched around by Kylo Ren.
Yep.
And leading up to that, we had, his little speech there in The Force Awakens.
Yeah. And that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. That,
he's talking about making everyone bow to the First Order.
Exactly.
In a very menacing speech.
Yep.
And then he's just getting slapped around by Kylo Ren in the next one.
Right. Yes.
Like, man, power structure is messed up here.
Exactly. That's exactly the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Because that right there, that's I don't know. That
I mean, they did kind of make his character, they took his character from that in The Force Awakens, and they made him kind of slapsticky after that. Because he was getting slapped around in The Last Jedi, and then in The Rise of Skywalker, he's like, oh, shoot me in the leg,
Right.
Wait, this is where we're at.
Yeah. That's the other thing, right? I guess if you're going to have him betray the First Order and play this kind of whatever double agent character or whatever, there could have been more intrigue into that, and they could have set that up a little better. Clearly,
yeah,
we had no
a little less, a little more than he's pissed off about the slapsticky humor that happened with Kylo Ren,
right?
Because that's what he was mad about. He just wanted to see Ren fail,
right?
And it's just because he was being slapped around by him.
Right.
So apparently his dedication to the First Order and what they believed in wasn't that great, because
exactly
this guy just made him turn on all of it.
Right.
It wasn't a betrayal to make sure he ends up dead. It was a betrayal to the First Order itself.
Right.
Yeah, the betrayal wasn't to Ren, it was to the First Order.
Right. That's the problem with it. That's where, it was kind of, it weakened the character a little bit. Yeah.
Yes.
So
yeah, I would have liked to have seen it be a little more personal.
Exactly.
Him making a betrayal to put Kylo Ren in a vulnerable situation, as opposed to putting the First Order in a vulnerable situation, because you would think that after what we saw in The Force Awakens, his dedication was to the First Order.
Right.
And to what their goals were. And I don't think he would give that up just because he got slapped around by Kylo Ren, who he feels is a pretender.
Right.
And the only reason he's there is because he's got his, voodoo.
Yeah. Yeah. His voodoo. Yeah, I like the way you put that.
I just try to put it in his perspective, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah. It's an interesting thought. I hope, like, deep down, I hope it's not that.
Right.
Like, I'd like to think that maybe someone enjoyed their time.
Yeah.
But it is odd that so many have come forward saying the same thing.
Yes.
It's less like it was in the past where everybody was eager to jump back into Star Wars. Now they're like, maybe if they have a meeting or two and talk about their story, maybe I'll do it.
Right.
Like send an email, bro. Like,
yeah, exactly.
So it is a much different tone than it has been in the past.
For sure.
All right. Since we're talking about returning to Star Wars, people returning to Star Wars.
Yeah.
Well, apparently this interview is never ending.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I am a little bit disappointed in how this interview with was it USA Today?
Yes.
That Rian Johnson did, like, it seems like months ago.
Right.
Maybe it wasn't months ago. Maybe I'm overestimating there.
Yeah,
but it seems like it's been a minute, and we haven't seen the full interview yet.
Correct.
But more has come out from this Rian Johnson USA Today interview. And one of the things he was asked is if he would be interested in directing an episode of The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about that first, or do we want to talk about what he said?
Well, what did he say?
Okay. So he said he was dying to. But that for him, it's all about scheduling. He's been writing Knives Out 2, and he's going directly into filming it, so it would be a matter of scheduling. And finding time to break away and do it. He said he spoke to Dave Filoni about it. He had gone and visited the set during season 1. He said it was so cool. And she says, I told him I was very jealous. But he said it was fascinating to see what they were doing there, right?
Right.
I just got to say, like, we're talking about him directing an episode of The Mandalorian when he's supposed to be working on a trilogy.
Yeah. This trilogy that's, where's this trilogy?
Where's even, like, you're working on it?
Yeah, well, look, even if it's not the priority you have going on right now, you got to be spending some time on it because, I don't know, maybe it's different for Ryan, but you can't just But
even in this comment, right? He's dying to do an episode of The Mandalorian. Yes. But he's busy working on Knives Out 2.
Right, which I got to say is a huge deal for Netflix. Him between him and Netflix. So,
but it's not like he's been working on Knives Out 2 and the trilogy he's working on. That's not the comment there. Like, I got this other Star Wars thing I'm doing, and I got Knives Out. No, it's just Knives Out.
Right.
So I feel like a director might be able to break away from what he's doing to direct a TV episode if he's only doing one thing.
I gotcha. Yep.
Once again, it
is true because
I don't know what it's like to deal with that.
Right.
But that seems like a pretty soft schedule.
Yeah. Now, I will say, on the other hand, we have seen that, the directors on the set of The Mandalorian kind of go all in with this, you know. I mean, they're all, at least from season 1, they were all together kind of on set at the same time for each other's episodes, and you know, maybe that's the kind of situation that Favreau wants to.
He can't meet the commitment that they're asking for.
Right. That's a possibility. But
that's not what's said here.
That's true. Yeah. I'm too busy. Yeah. That might all be a perspective thing. You never know.
Which I understand. These things are a big deal. When you're writing and directing,
sure,
you got a lot going on. But you did The Last Jedi pretty quick.
That's for sure. Now, yeah, on to the other half of this, the other part, I guess. If he were to direct an episode of The Mandalorian, I would have to say, for me, I would like it to be one of these kind of one-off episodes where it doesn't have a whole lot of ties to the overarching theme of the show.
Okay, so anywhere in season 2.
Just about anywhere in season 2 would be fine, yes. So I guess he missed his chance. But you get what I'm saying, right? I mean, you don't want to have him kind of in charge of a, you know, let's how about the final episode of season 2? I wouldn't want him in charge of that one. I'll just say that.
I see where you're going there.
Oh yeah.
But let's put a theoretical in there.
Okay.
Let's say the end of season 2 happened the way it did, and Rian Johnson directed it. How do you feel about The Last Jedi after that? Like, if he did that episode with that, you know, I'll use the word reverence for Luke, right?
Right.
Say he did that. How does that feel about how he treated Luke in The Last Jedi?
That's hard because with that not being the case, I understand. It's
totally a hypothetical.
Yeah, and I'm still having a hard time, reconciling what happened in The Last Jedi with what we saw in that final episode of season 2. So I'm even if it was Rian Johnson, I would have to say I still would have a hard time forgiving all that we saw in The Last Jedi as far as Luke is concerned.
My main question is, how would you feel about that going forward?
Well,
because now you've seen two ends of the spectrum.
Yeah. So going forward, we have heard rumor of the possibility of a Luke Skywalker series, right? We've talked about Sebastian Stan possibly playing the character. And if Rian Johnson was going to be the showrunner on that, a la Jon Favreau, I'd be really leery. If that's what you're getting at, I'd be really leery of that series.
My thing is this, I'd be open to it just because, okay, maybe he's going to explain how he got there. And if he explains how he got there, maybe we can get past all that. Well, because that's the big question, right? The big question is, how does Luke Skywalker go from the last time we saw him to that? The big problem is there's nothing to fill in the gap.
That's for sure.
Because this argument that it's this rationalization, it's PTSD and things like that. Well, like, I think you need, even if it is that, you need a little bit to fill in the gap that this was something that was afflicting him.
My thing is this: thus far, he hasn't offered any quote unquote explanation for the rationale behind that. Like there has been, and to actually, how do I put this? He doesn't necessarily come off as though he cares how Luke got there, just that he had to be there for episode 8. He had to go in episode 8. Doesn't ever say why. He just had to go. So this is I don't know.
Yeah, because I'll agree, because that's what I envisioned. That's not how we do things, right? Like,
exactly.
We want to talk about it, bro.
Exactly.
I mean, you look at George. George has been explaining his decisions for a long time.
A long time, yes. And thus far, people have been legitimately asking, like, if Luke got to that point, he was there, he was exiled and turned himself off from the Force. How did that happen? He doesn't even give any vagaries. He's just like, well, just it is what it is. And it had to be for the way I wanted to do it. So.
Yeah, that's how I saw it.
Exactly.
But why?
Why? Exactly. So, I don't know. If there was going to be more Luke Skywalker moving forward and Rian Johnson was going to be in charge of that, I'd be very leery. As far as him doing an episode of The Mandalorian, if it was one of these, if it's some sort of like little side quest type episode, go for it. Otherwise, I don't know. I don't know. Just kind of, be busy with Knives Out. Sorry.
Now, I'll say this. Like, I have a little bit of a ulterior motive here, right?
Okay.
I want to see, and I don't know if this is the right terminology, because I don't know if this is what needs to happen, but I kind of want to see Rian Johnson redeemed, right?
Okay.
And the main reason is because I was so excited about him when he was announced.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I was very pro Rian Johnson when they brought him into Star Wars. And I really want this rationale to come forward. And I want it to be good.
Uh-huh.
I think it can happen. Even if it's not from him, I want to see why Lucasfilm made the decision to go with that.
Yeah.
I want to see this rationale for why this happened.
Right.
Because I feel like it could be there, but I don't exactly know how it gets there. I didn't write the story.
Yeah, exactly. I get it.
I have a certain exposure to the character, albeit from unofficial stories.
Right.
But even still, these are stories that all of us in a certain demographic have been exposed to. So we're like, why?
Right.
And I'd like to see that explained. How does that get there?
Yeah, I think we'd all like to see it explained, but
if we're going to change course, I want to know why we changed course.
Yeah, totally.
It could be the right course. And that's the perspective I'm taking. It could be the right course. But we got to know why we made that change.
Yes.
We got to know why we went that direction. I don't want to turn left for the sake of turning left.
Exactly.
So, yeah. But, yeah, this interview is, man, This is a fantastic way to get press because we're going to drag this out, apparently.
That is for sure. For sure.
I really wish they would just release this interview.
Yes.
Instead of individual tweets every couple weeks.
Right. Yeah, it'd be nice to actually, get the whole lowdown from the whole thing and see what all was said. I mean, this has been built up to the point where I think we're all going to be let down a little bit now. So.
Oh, the interview?
Yeah, from the interview.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. Because, I mean, hell, by the time they released the interview, it's like, I heard all that.
Yep, exactly.
So, yeah. Let's get it going.
Yeah, for sure.
Tired of tweets every couple weeks. Release the interview.
Right.
I mean, what's the point of being a publication if you're not going to publish? Let's do it.
That's right.
Pretty sure USA Today doesn't make their living on Twitter.
No. Yeah. Got to sell some papers, man.
Yeah. At least a digital copy.
Right.
All right. Well, if you have anything to add to that, you can always email us, show@thewarsandmore.com. It's the best way to get a hold of us. We're also on social media. We're at The Wars and More on Twitter, facebook.com/thewarsandmore. You can find all that and all the ways to find the show over at thewarsandmore.com. Any final thoughts this week, Doug?
No, I think that about covers it.
All right. We will talk next week.